Power Rangers Zeo Battle Racers is a racing video game released in 1996 for the Super Nintendo. Developed by Natsume, a name you're probably used to seeing in connection to various Harvest Moon games. Natsume still exists, but they've separated into two separate companies, Natsume Atari and Natsume Inc. The game was published by Bandai, which still exists to this day as part of the Bandai Namco Group. As for the Power Rangers, well, they're still going despite having changed hands a few times, including an 8-year stint being owned by the eaters of all entertainment media, the House of Mouse itself, Walt Disney. And here to talk about the Power Rangers in general and to set the stages, DarkRula. Take it away.
Thank you, Kerr9000. Power Rangers was a morphing animal hit when it first arrived on TV screens in 1993, having been adapted from a Japanese Super Sentai series of Zyuranger. 5 teenagers with attitude were recruited to become the first team of Rangers, drawing their powers from the dinosaurs that once roamed the land. Across the years, a team of spandex-suited warriors would always be there to save the world, fighting off a variety of monsters and calling on their swords when such monsters became supersized. Each series of Rangers adapted a new series of Sentai, bringing with it new theming such as ninjas and nature, and after the original era, which ended within space, a complete new location with new characters upon each change. To this day, Power Rangers is still going strong, with the current series of Beast Morphers celebrating the history of the franchise with a 3-part arc that brings back the 3 dinosaur-themed teams to fight against returning enemies. And now, back to you to continue the review.
Okay, so where to start with this game? Well, probably by saying that basically it's a sort of Power Rangers themed Super Mario Kart knockoff. You don't collect items to throw at each other, but you do shoot lasers at each other, and you can jump your vehicle a bit like you jump with the feather in Mario Kart. But unlike with that game, you can do this jump as many times as you like without having to pick anything up. Like Mario Kart, you can play alone or with another player, and then there's also a versus mode and time trials, and just like Mario Kart, you have the choice of a bunch of characters. A red ranger, a blue, a yellow, etc. and a couple of baddies to round it out. Some of them are on bikes and some are in cars, but just like with Mario Kart, each character has different qualities. In fact, you could compare the characters to their Mario Kart counterparts, so let's talk about this in more detail. The blue and the pink ranger have the highest acceleration but the worst top speed and grip. The yellow ranger and green ranger have better grip but lower acceleration and top speed. This would make them the sort of Koopa Trooper and Toad standing characters. The Red Ranger and the Gold Ranger are the well-rounded characters, decent at everything but masters of nothing. They're sort of like Mario is in Mario Kart. As for the villainous characters, the Cog Soldier has the best grip, while King Mondo has the highest top speed, making him the sort of Bowser of the game. Who you pick really depends on which one of these characters' skill sets best matches your own playstyle. Something I really love about this game is that the main title screen has the Power Rangers theme on it from the relevant series. It really gets me pumped even in 16-bit. It drags me straight back to when I used to hear the show start on TV and I'd instantly get excited and drawn to it. I find it hard to believe how much I loved the Power Rangers when it originally came out. I loved it far too much for a 12-year-old, but then again it combined martial arts fighting I'd loved seeing in Bruce Lee films with giant robots, so it was like Bruce Lee meets Transformers. What's not to love? It also reminded me of a VHS cassette my dad got me when I was like 6 called Spectraman, which is a sort of 70s one-man Power Ranger show. The main episode of which I strangely remember being about a virus with no cure and Spectraman being ordered by aliens who helped him to kill a family with it to stop it spreading and destroying the Earth. Okay, that sounds a little weird to be talking about in these coronavirus times, so let's get back to Power Rangers Zeo Racing. But first, I just want to say thank you, Dad. You're an absolute legend for filling my early years with Vanguard Ace, Astro Boy, Spectraman, and video games. Okay, so with lots of characters who appear in brightly coloured spandex, you'd imagine the graphics in this game would be blindingly bright, bubbly, and well, just great, wouldn't you? Actually, if you squinted, you might think you're playing Mario Kart. I've heard some people refer to them as being blocky and blurry, and I did want to make a joke on the lines of Mighty Morphine Blocky Rangers, but I'm afraid I just don't see them as being that bad. If I wanted to be critical, I could say things in the distance do feel a little blurry, and the fact the Rangers are the same colour as their vehicles does kind of cause them to bleed together a little bit, but it's definitely not as bad as some people have tried to make out. A lot of people seem to complain that when you play the one player mode, the game still displays the main action on only half of the screen, with the other half being used to show your character's rear view mirror. But this doesn't really bother me, as it's not that different from Mario Kart, which uses the lower half of the screen to show you the game's map swap into a rear view mirror view when needed, and that game was widely regarded as one of the machine's best games, so I feel it's kind of wrong to knock this game for doing a similar thing. There are a good number of different courses to race on, including a city circuit, an island circuit, one based on the Rangers base and one set around the Grand Canyon, and several others. There's a fair degree of variety and the game plays well enough. I find it feels reasonably fast, and sure, it's no Mario Kart as the controls are not as tight as they are in that game, but it's a perfectly playable and fun alternative. I don't think it's as easy to turn, but I tend to manage that by turning with a little hop. I guess other than quickly saying that I love the fact this game features a 16-bit rendition of the TV show's theme, I haven't really mentioned the music or the sound effects at all, so it's about time I sorted this out. I enjoy the music, it's nice and action-packed, if ultimately forgettable, and the sound effects are also decent, all the typical engine noises and skidding tyres you would expect. In conclusion, I suggest taking a look at this game if you like kart racers, and particularly if you're a fan of the Power Rangers. It might not be the best racer on the system, but it's also far from the worst. If you haven't played Mario Kart or Rock'n'Roll Racing, then I'd suggest you look at them first, but if you've tried them and want more racing fun, then you definitely should check this game out. If I was to give it a score, then I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It's not the best racing game, but it's a good fun game, and I for one am glad that they tried something different with the franchise, and I think it's definitely worth trying out, especially if you've enjoyed what you've seen and heard during the course of this review. So if I've whet your appetite and you're interested in this game, then how much would a copy of Power Rangers Zeo Racing cost you? Well, the cheapest PAL Kart only copy I could manage to find online was about £28, with some people trying to get a fair degree more for it. The cheapest American copy I could find was £25. I actually got my American copy 5 years ago for £5 from eBay. The only downside being that I actually never managed to get this to work at all until recently. I tried it on a PAL SNES with a cheap import converter, and then with a more deluxe Daytel model converter, and it didn't work. I tried it on a converted SNES which had been modded to run at 60Hz with its cartridge port cut larger and its region lockout removed, and it still didn't work. So how did I finally manage to play it? Well, I used my Retro Trio Plus console that I recently purchased, and it worked on this first time both in 50Hz and 60Hz mode. So I'm guessing this game had some extra heavy duty protection on it, which is worth considering if you'd like to try it yourself. I've not been able to find any information on this game being a particularly hard game to get working if you import it, so this is all based on my own discovery. But if you have a PAL machine, maybe stick to the PAL version and save yourself some headaches, or even use an emulator or a flash device to try it out before you contemplate investing your hard-earned readies on it. While I have you here as a captive audience, I want to quickly talk about a related game, and that's Power Rangers Zeo Full Tilt Battle Pinball. Obviously it's based on the same Power Rangers series as Zeo Battle Racers, and it also makes the equally interesting move of trying to offer a Power Rangers experience which strays away from the obvious fighting game territory. I guess how much mileage you get out of it will depend on how much you enjoy video game pinball, but I will say it goes full on in trying to offer a Power Rangers experience, with the theme and tables featuring lots of things you would see in the show. If you enjoyed retro pinball games like Dragon's Fury on the Mega Drive and you like the Power Rangers, then it is really worth giving it a shot. I'd like to thank DarkRula for coming on board and helping me with this review, and I hope you all have a great day. Okay, this is Kerr9000 signing off saying keep on gaming.